Ever get that feeling like you're battling something you can't even see? You know what you should do, but something keeps pulling you the other way.
Yeah, it's a common struggle, for sure.
It really is. And today we're going to try to understand it a little better. We're diving into this text, Gita for Joyful Living, to see why we sometimes act against our own best interests.
Interesting.
Yeah, so right off the bat, this text calls out desire as that invisible force,
Uh-huh.
the one that pulls us in the wrong direction. And it says it comes from our senses.
Our senses?
Yeah, like you see a delicious dessert or you hear a catchy song.
Oh, I see.
Those things spark desire. And get this, when that desire isn't fulfilled, it can actually spiral to frustration and even like harmful actions.
Wow, that makes sense.
Right. Now, there's another interesting bit in here. It talks about 3 accumulations that we supposedly carry from previous births.
Previous births.
Yep, like past lives. And it says these accumulations influence our actions now.
So you're saying we're like puppets controlled by our past?
Well, it sounds kind of like that, right?
Hmm.
But thankfully, it's not that deterministic.
Okay, good.
Think of it more like a sculptor in clay.
Okay.
The clay already has a form, but the sculptor can mold it.
I like that analogy.
Right. So these accumulations, they're called impressions, preferences, and knowledge.
Okay.
They're kind of like the raw material, but we have the power to shape them in the present.
So it's not all predetermined?
No, not at all. So let's break these down a bit. What exactly are these impressions?
Well, think of them as like leftovers.
Leftovers.
Yeah, but not from dinner. Leftovers from our past actions, like echoes of choices we made, experiences we had, both good and bad, that haven't fully played out yet.
So they're like lingering consequences.
Exactly. They influence the situations we find ourselves in now.
So it's not about being punished for past deeds,
Right.
but more like experiencing the natural consequences that ripple across lifetimes.
That's it. It's cause and effect, but on a much larger scale.
Wow. Okay. Makes sense. Now, what about these preferences?
Those are a bit more straightforward, I think.
How so?
There are inclinations, our likes and dislikes, shaped by countless experiences.
So all those things we're drawn to or repelled by.
Exactly. And they fuel our desires in the present.
That makes me think about someone who, like, really loves luxury.
Yeah.
That preference could make them more susceptible to buying expensive stuff,
For sure, even if it's not the best financial decision.
Exactly. Now, this last one is a bit tricky knowledge.
Uh-huh.
It seems counterintuitive that knowledge could be an obstacle.
Yeah, how can knowing things hold us back?
Right. But the text says that even when we know something is harmful, our desires can overshadow that knowledge.
So it's like we know better, but we do it anyway.
It is. It's like knowing smoking is bad for you, but still smoking.
That's a good example.
The desire for that cigarette overpowers the knowledge that it's harmful.
Powerful stuff.
It is. So we've got this invisible force of desire shaped by these accumulations from our past lives. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, no kidding.
And get us, the text also says that desire can overpower our intelligence.
What? How is that even possible?
It uses this really vivid image of a fire to describe how desire affects our intelligence.
Fire.
Yeah, and it says our senses are like fuel to the fire.
I see.
Think about how captivating a delicious smell can be, or how enthralling a visual spectacle can be.
Oh, yeah.
It's like those things just short-circuit our reasoning abilities.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Those late-night infomercials.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need another kitchen gadget.
But they make it seem so appealing.
And you find yourself reaching for your credit card.
Right. It's like our intelligence takes a back seat.
Exactly. So the main takeaway here, I think, is the sheer power of the senses.
It is. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. And it's not that we should avoid all pleasurable things.
Right. We don't have to become hermits.
No, it's about being more mindful of how we engage with the world around us.
So how do we cultivate that mindfulness? I mean, the text also talks about these 3 degrees of affliction, and honestly, they sound a bit ominous.
Ominous.
Yeah, like something bad.
Well, it's not about scaring us. The text just uses these analogies to illustrate how deeply desire can mess with our ability to see clearly and make good choices.
Okay, so tell me more about these degrees. What are they?
Okay, so imagine a fire, but it's covered in smoke.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
That's the first degree. Our knowledge is there, but it's hazy.
Hazy, like we can't quite grasp it.
Right, we might sense something isn't right, but the desire is strong enough to cloud our judgment.
Yeah, it'd be easy to ignore that inner voice in that scenario.
It would. What about the second degree?
What's that one like?
Imagine a dusty mirror.
Okay, got it.
You can see a reflection, but it's distorted.
I see.
So in a second-degree desire is like that dust on the mirror of our self-awareness.
So it's like our perception of ourselves is distorted.
Exactly.
Wow. And I'm guessing the 3rd degree is even worse.
It is. Think of a baby in the womb, completely enveloped, unaware of the world outside.
So in this state, our knowledge is completely blocked by desire.
Pretty much. We might not even realize there's a problem, let alone have any tools to deal with it.
It sounds like it would take a lot of effort to break free from that level of affliction.
It does. It takes a lot of time and effort.
So these three accumulations and the 3 degrees of affliction paint a pretty daunting picture of the challenges we face in making good choices.
They do. It's complex, for sure.
But at least understanding these forces is a good first step, right?
It is. Remember, the text isn't just about pointing out the problem.
What else is it about?
It's about offering us a path toward joyful living.
Okay, so that's what we're here to explore.
Exactly.